everybody. Welcome to our volume 3 of life coaching questions. And those of you that are interested in life coaching, I'm going to try to answer some of these questions in a life coaching manner, so that you can see how this all works, and just so you kind of know what my philosophy is. Life coaching is not psychiatry, and it's not advice, and it's not even counseling, because psychiatry kind of heals the issues of the past, and advice kind of corrects the present. But life coaching creates a future. Life coaching helps you to get where you want to go. And sometimes that needs counseling, and sometimes that needs advice, and whatever it needs, that's something that I want to participate in. And to me, this is another phase of my own sort of life and ministry. After I was diagnosed with cancer, and I went through all that stuff, going on a 5-year battle now, which is it's getting better and better. So it's not an issue. But I would meet people after the concert, and we would talk, and I would start pouring out, things that I saw, and I had almost like I sort of had a knack for helping folks, and which is kind of what I've done my whole life. But to actually put it into a different phase of a career, this is something new for me. And this past week, I've been doing several life coaching segments and sessions with different folks, and it's been incredible. Matter of fact, I feel like I learn things as I go, and I get answers as I go. Even though I've gone through the course, and I'm a certified life coach, it's very, very productive. Now, we have 3 different versions of our life coaching sessions. One is a 30-minute, the other one is an hour, and the other one is a 3 30-minute segments, and that's we call it gold. So it's bronze, silver, and gold. So a half hour, an hour, and then 3 30-minute segments. But what's been happening is, because these sessions are going so good and we're making so much progress, the 30 sessions, you can put them all together and make it into 90 minutes. And that's on every case, that's kind of what happened. We just went and kept on going for 90 minutes. And it's just been incredible, and the feedback we get is incredible. You can see where it posted some of the feedback that people have given us. But just so you know, all those things are kept in confidence. If we see something that I think would encourage somebody, we'll ask them if we can post it, and so we have their permission. So all their stuff is kept in confidence, and sometimes they want to use their name, sometimes they'd rather not use their name, use another name. It doesn't matter. It's just to give you an idea, kind of what we're doing. And I like to look at it this way: is counseling just kind of tells you what to do and says, just go do it. And I feel that you are the best expert on your own life, because you know what you want, you know what you like, you know what you're gonna do, you kind of know what you're not gonna do. And what I try to do is find out what that goal is, and it could have a whole different type, all different types of objectives. Personal, could be career, it could be ministerial, it could be health related. It doesn't matter. It's what's the most important thing for you. So let me take on a couple questions, and you'll kind of see what we're doing. And if you're interested in being a part of the life coaching family, and I'll get on the phone with you, and we'll talk, and we'll have a great time. And I've just been enjoying this, so it's just been an eye-opener for me, and I really feel like this is something that God has opened up for me. So, question, okay? This one has to do with a topic. I'm not saying I know a whole lot about this, but it says it has to do with gay friends at dinner. Okay, here we go. The question is, I need to find common ground with my son and his gay friends. It upsets me when they are affectionate with each other in front of me, but I don't want to appear homophobic. I don't know how to handle this. My goal is to restore my relationship with him, but I don't know if I can be 100%, if it can be 100% of what it was. This is not, I'm trying to find out what the goal is in here. I'm assuming, since, you know, sometimes in these questions, they don't give you all the particulars about a situation, so I have to kind of sort of assume and make some stuff up. I'm assuming that the goal is to restore relationship with your son, and your son is gay, and he has these friends. So I get it, I understand it. I guess what I would want to do is, in order to kind of know the dynamics of the situation, I'd have to talk to you. I'd have to find out what your relationship was like with your son up until that time you found out that he was gay, or he announced it, or whatever, however it came about. Because without understanding kind of what you're going through and what the nature of your relationship is, and maybe the relationship pertaining to his siblings or anybody else in the family, that determines a lot of how to approach something like this. Being in the entertainment field, you just meet all sorts of people, and so this is not uncommon for me, because since I was 16, 17 years old, I've been working in clubs, you know, and up until the time I was 20, then I got saved, and then I was working in churches, I guess. Everybody comes into clubs. I mean, you know, gay, straight, gangsters, angry people, people that just want to get drunk, people that are escaping, people that are cheating. I mean, every facet of life, whatever it is. So you get, as being in the entertainment field and the artistic field, I'm around so many different people that a lot of stuff doesn't really faze me, you know. I don't really take it to mean more than it is. But for you, this is important, and you want to restore that relationship with your son. Now listen, here's what you have to do. You have to first, this is what I'd want to know. What are you willing to do to solve this problem? You have to ask yourself that. Am I willing to do whatever it takes to solve this problem? And that doesn't mean you have to do everything somebody asks. That may mean you have to be honest with yourself. And just because your opinion about something is different than somebody else's doesn't mean what you feel is wrong. I mean, forget the gay thing for a second. Let's just talk about, you're sitting there at a table and there's a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and they're making out in front of you. It's going to be uncomfortable. You want to do one of two things. You're either going to get up and leave, or you're going to join them. I mean, there's no middle ground. So it's uncomfortable when people are affectionate with each other. Now, for me, you know, I'm, you know, not being gay, I don't understand, you know, the dynamic and the attraction. So for me to see, you know, guys with guys, I'm like, ah, you know, but that is their business in a sense. You know what I mean? I mean, you can't impose what you feel on someone else, but you can have respect for each other. And if something that they're doing is making you feel uncomfortable, you have the right to, without being labeled and without being categorized, to say, this makes me uncomfortable. And just be honest. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, it makes you feel uncomfortable. Listen, there are certain TV shows that you can't watch in mixed company because, you know, I've had, geez, I can't tell you how many people. I love to watch these shows about how to find a bad guy and the forensics, and they're hunting people down. And somebody says, man, I just don't want to watch another show about murder and killing. And see, I don't look at it that way. I'm looking about how they're going to find this guy. So they're uncomfortable with that TV show. So I have to be on. They have to be honest with me, and I have to be honest with them. It doesn't mean that you're bad for being honest. It just means you're honest. So if this offends you or it makes you feel uncomfortable, you need to tell him. If you love him, you'll tell him. If he cares for you and if he loves you, he won't want to make you feel uncomfortable. If he just doesn't care what you feel and just does whatever, no matter how you feel, whether it makes you feel uncomfortable or not, then he's not trying to build a relationship with you. So you have to stand by what is true to you, and just, you got to be yourself. He's wanting to be himself. You got to be yourself. I wrote a couple things down to here is you can't assume just because you feel something that somebody else is feeling. Just if you don't like it, or you don't buy into it, or you don't get on with it, or whatever it is, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you don't like it. I can't stand to see somebody eat sauerkraut. I'm like, oh, it just does something to me. Am I a sauerkrautophobic? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if that's even a word. But the Bible says, and I'm assuming that there's a spiritual dynamic going on here too. So the Bible says, if your coat offends your brother, take it off. What's the big deal? It's a matter of relationship. If you want to build a relationship with you, that has to go both ways. It can't just be you're forced to accept somebody else's lifestyle. I mean, if the guy was just drinking and he just wanted to keep drinking, and it made you uncomfortable. And me personally, I don't like the smell of beer. It has to do with when I was a kid. You know, I used to have all these parties at my house because there was all these musicians, and I just can't stand the smell of beer. So if somebody's drinking beer around me, you know, it just unnerves me. I don't like the smell of cigarettes. You know, what am I, a cigarette-ophobic? I mean, we don't have to keep categorizing people. They do a lot of that on the news, but in real life, the people that I know, you know, if they're doing something that's making you feel uncomfortable, most people, if they care about you, they'll stop. So what's the big deal? I think the important thing is here, in order to build that relationship, is understand it has to go both ways. It's not just you. And you can't be put in a box to say you're a phobic of this and a phobic of that because you don't like sauerkraut, or you don't like the smell of beer, or you don't like the smell of cigarettes, or you don't like to watch, you know, forensic shows. You can't categorize every aspect of life. You just are the way you are. Understand that relationship has to start by having an understanding of honesty, and then going both ways. I wish I could talk to you and understand a little bit more about who the guy is, and what his likes and his dislikes are, what he does for a living, because sometimes there's certain behaviors that are associated with certain types of occupations. You know, I'm used to being around musicians and artistic people, so you know they're always a little to the left, you know, and they're always a little extreme. So you have to understand that they have these highs and these lows, and it doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means. So we'll go to the next question. Hopefully you'll like that one. That was a tough one. You can hear my cat. What? I'm doing this on the camera. No. All right, come here. All right, he wants me to go pick him up. I can't, I'm busy, I'm working. All right, lady named Caroline says this. She says, my husband had stage 4 throat cancer, which God healed him in 2014. The radiation took away his saliva glands and taste buds, so everything he eats tastes like dirt. And he has to use biotin constantly. He is he is thankful for his healing, but he has no strength and no taste of food. He feels like he is just existing. What do you suggest for him to do to change his mindset? Well, I know what it's like to have that constant taste bud thing change. I remember when I was going through chemotherapy, every day I was hungry for something totally different from the day before. One day I would have to have steak. Next day I would have to have orange juice. Next day I'd have to have bread. It just keeps changing on you. Now, this stuff, it is unnerving and it does frustrate you, but I'm trying to figure out what your goal would be in this, because it's hard to have a goal, and maybe this is something to learn. You can't have a goal for somebody else. That person has to have a goal for themselves. They have to have the desire to move on from something, and they might just be in that time where they just hate everything, and that is very real, and you do go through that time. You're just frustrated, and then you have to adjust. So I don't know, I'd have to talk to him. I'd have to find out what's important to him. And I tell you, but I will say one thing. If I could offer any kind of advice or counsel or direction, I would say this, is that the more you focus on any one particular thing, the more you're going to be obsessed with it. If your taste buds ain't working, and if your hair's falling out, you gotta get your mind onto something else to defocus that attention on the things that you don't like, or you don't have anymore. I would want to talk to him about things that he may want to do, or things he may feel a passion or a desire for. Anything to try to help get him to unfocus off of his taste buds, or things that can't help you by just thinking about and pondering over. As real as they are, and believe me, it's real. You'd have to refocus on something else, because the mind can play tricks on you. One of the key things in getting through these kind of dreaded diseases, because I know a little bit about this because I come through cancer, is if you start to get depressed, you can get so depressed. You can go down so far that you can't get back up. So that would be my concern for him, is to help refocus his attention on something that is more productive for him. And I know what that feels like. You just feel like you're just hanging out, you're just existing. It's like, if it's gonna be like this, why do I want to live? I mean, you go through all those emotions. It's like a big color wheel of emotions, and you will hit them all. So I would want to reactivate his mind in another direction. And the only way that can happen is I'd have to talk to him. I have to find out what interests him. I have to find out what doesn't interest him. He may need to vent. I mean, he might need to talk to somebody who's been through what he's been through, so that he knows that somebody really hears him and can hear that frustration. And believe me, I can hear that frustration in somebody's voice, because I've had it in mine. So that's what I'd want to do. I want to help him develop a new hunger for another area of life, to de-emphasize certain things, and it will help. It doesn't necessarily take it all away, it doesn't necessarily cure it, but it makes it a whole lot more livable for everybody in that circle, including you, because I know you're agonizing over this and you feel for him. And I do hope that you call in and set up some time, so I would love to talk to him, because I really feel like I could really help him out with this. Okay, this is another one from somebody named Linda. She says, "Thank you for caring." I guess because she posted a kind of a frustrating sort of comment that, what's the use? I don't want to get into it. Nothing can help it. Why talk about it? And I know how that feels too. So I asked her again, let's try. Just give me something to work with here. And she says, my husband passed away this past New Year's Eve. Ugh, New Year's Eve. And even an excellent coach can't fix a broken heart. Was that Bee Gees song? How can you mend a broken heart? How can you stop the rain from falling down? How can you stop the sun from shining? I mean, even the Bee Gees knew, how do you mend a broken heart? They weren't life coaches. They asked the same question. It says, I'm hoping the Lord wants to and will. May the Lord truly bless you. Listen. I haven't gone through what you've gone through, so I'm not going to try to pretend I know how you feel. I have lost people that I loved. I have lost people prematurely. I was there when my father passed away, and I combed his hair, he gave his last breath so that I know he always liked to look good, you know, for people when they came into the hospital room. So I was the designated hair combers. And you know, those are tragic moments that you can't erase from your memory. But understand this, understand that life is about seasons. Everything has a time and everything has a season. There is a time to mourn. And when it's your time to mourn, you gotta mourn. You gotta let it out. You gotta get all the grief out that you can. You know, when somebody dies and people say, oh, don't feel so bad, he's up with Jesus and he's doing wonderful and you should be happy for him. You know, these people, you know, it's like, let me mourn. You're trying to make me feel happy about this? About somebody dying? No, I'm not gonna feel happy about this. Because the Bible gives me, you know, a chance to mourn. I mean, and that's the Judeo-Christian truth across the board. Everything has a season. And you can't dress for one season while you're living in another season. Understand that there is a time and a season for somebody to be here. There's a time and a season for somebody to go. It is appointed for every man once to die. And then the judgment. This is an appointed time for everybody. Everybody is going to have that moment where they face eternity. And if you had a good life with this man, if he loved you and you loved him, then thank God for that season. A lot of people never had that season. A lot of people lost people that they loved before they even had a chance to live their life or to experience it. But as you experience that season, give yourself the opportunity to go into the next season. And it's a new season. You don't wear flip-flops and a bathing suit and a blow-up tube when it's snowing out. It's the wrong season. And that season changes. And as that season changes, we change with the season, because this is the way life is. Life has its flows, it has its back and its forth, and you gotta roll with it. And if you try to stay in a season that's past, then you are that person, you know, diving into the freezing waters of the Arctic, you know, in your Bermuda shorts and snorkel, because you don't want to be in this other season. I understand it, but this is the season maybe to mourn, because I don't know which New Year's Eve you're talking about, but allow yourself to move on to another season. And the Bible does say that he is the mender of the brokenhearted. Even though we don't feel it, even though sometimes we don't believe it and we're not experiencing it, he still is that guy. He still is the mender of the brokenhearted. And time does help, but you have to allow it to. You have to accept the seasons of God as he presents them. And there are some things you don't have answers for, and you're not going to have answers for them. So don't try to beat yourself up because you want to know why, and why is it this, and why was it New Year's Eve, and why was it not this day, and why was it not that. You're gonna go crazy because you'll never come up with the right answers, and you'll never be satisfied. My advice to you would be to help. If I could, maybe I shouldn't say the word advice, is I would love to talk to you and talk about how to get through this season and how to enter into a new season. But I'd have to know more about what's in your heart, what has left your life when this man left. Maybe it was a change of occupation. Maybe it was a change of lifestyle. Maybe you had to move to a new location. See, I don't know all these things. So in talking to you, I can probably help figure out what that new season is. We can figure that out together. We'll have, and I know it sounds crazy, but we'll actually have an enjoyable time doing it because there'll be healing in that. So those are the 3 questions this week. I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget, if you want to become one of the people I talk to, and I guess I would call you a client, right? I guess. yeah, I guess you'd be a client. There's the life coaching website, carmanlifecoaching.com. You can go there and kind of read about what we're doing and schedule some time, and I would love to talk to you next Tuesday, 5 o'clock.